The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
What's up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. You know what it is. It's, of course, The System is Down, and I hope this episode finds you well on your commute to or from your place of employment, or maybe you're brave enough to play this episode at work and share some of the crazy thoughts with the people around you in your normal day-to-day life. If so, I applaud you. But this is the show. If you're new here, this is where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics, things like conspiracies, politics, and religion, and we do so in a very civil, humble, and open-minded fashion, which is sadly lacking in today's culture. Another topic that you might find uncomfortable is that of abortion. For some reason, we don't like to talk about abortion, probably because it's an ugly topic. It's gross. It's not fun to talk about. Because either A, you're taking away the rights of a woman to her body, or B, you're murdering a child. There's no real happy outcome if you look at it from the political standpoints, and I find it really disconcerting that it's become an argument of politics. This is not about right or left, blue or red or yellow or anything else. This is a discussion about human life. That is my stance. I'm transparent and completely biased. I have a bias, and I'm open about it. I grew up, as most of the people know who listening to this, I grew up in a very conservative Christian environment, so of course abortion was wrong back then, and then I went through falling out with some of my beliefs and had to deconstruct and reconstruct to figure out what it is that I believe, and during a lot of that time I've been on the fence about this topic. I wasn't taking a hard stance because I didn't know anything about it, didn't know much about it, and honestly, most of the people screaming at the fences are probably not that educated on it either. Not saying that I'm an authority now, but the thing that changed my mind on it, the thing that made me really concrete, solidify my beliefs in this is actually, and I didn't set out to do this, but it was Abby Johnson's book, Unplanned. I heard her story on, I believe it was Louder with Crowder, and then I had her on my show back in episode 64. And I read her book in between the time of booking her to come on and the time of talking to her. I read the whole thing, which is pretty rare for me to read any book. Actually, I think I listened to the Audible version, but doesn't matter. This is 2019, so we can consume however we want. But her book changed my mind on the topic. It didn't necessarily change it from hardcore pro-choice to hardcore pro-life. It changed it from, I don't know, to, I know. I know. This is a matter of life. And if you can convince me otherwise, I am open to it. I am open-minded. However, you're going to have a hard time convincing me to sway on this one at this point in my life, because it's just becoming so much more black and white, and there are becoming way less gray areas on this topic for me as I hear stories about it. It's not an attack against the woman. It's not an attack against the family. It's not an attack against anybody. It's an attack in favor of what that life could be. I don't mean to get off on a diatribe here before even getting into the interview or even talking about what the interview is, but I just finished the film. I watched a screener of the film, and it's compelling. It's really strong. When I found out that one of my favorite books by one of my favorite people was going to be made into a film, I was, of course, elated. I was excited, very much excited. And then, of course, it started to dawn on me, what if they make this into a Christian film? And by Christian film, I mean garbage. What if they flour it up and cheese it up like a lot of the bullshit Christian films tend to do? Let's just be honest. They do. So I was concerned that would be the case. After watching it, I have my issues with some things in the film. I think there's some things that they could do better, but it's a great film, of course. I mean, not of course. It is a great film. Of course, there could be things that are done better, but it is a very very good and very compelling film. So my demeanor here at the beginning is going to be a little bit different than that of my demeanor in the interviews with Ashley Bratcher, who played Abby in the movie, which is the episode today, and my conversation next week coming out with Abby Johnson, because those were pre-recorded. This is my thoughts after watching the film. I hadn't watched it before talking to them, so I'm going to give a little bit of my opinions here. And I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything, not going to give away any details, but I'm going to do a review of the film with a friend of mine. We're going to do a Rotten Potatoes review of it that'll be coming out the same day as the film comes out, just so you guys know my completely open and honest opinion of the film as a piece of art. But on the topic of abortion, I've got some problems. Obviously, we need to be talking about it. We need to keep this conversation going. I honestly think that years from now, we're going to look back on this, and we're not just going to say, what were we doing? We're probably going to say, who did we throw away? Think about that for a second. Think about the idea of who did we not give the opportunity to become them? If I have any value to you, if people that you love have any value to you, imagine if those people weren't in your life or the other people's lives that they've impacted. We all impact people's lives. Whose life are we throwing away right now? And that might be a little bit of a downery way to open up the show. Like I said, my demeanor is going to change here in a couple minutes as I get into a fun conversation about the film with Ashley Bratcher, who was lovely and an awesome person to talk to. So, but yeah, I don't normally start out with this long of an intro, but it's a heavy film. I don't tear up easily from anything, film or real life. I don't get emotional, and it's a great film. It has its lighthearted moments too. It's not just a big slog of emotion, but it's a great film, and you should check it out. So we'll get into my conversation with the lead actress, Ashley Bratcher, here in a moment. But before we do, I got to remind you guys about the Downers Club, which is our patron program. Keeps the show going, growing, getting bigger, better, getting better guests every single week. People like Ashley Bratcher and Abby Johnson. The reason that I'm able to do that is because of my street cred that we're getting now. You don't get Hollywood actresses on the show if you don't have a little bit of street cred. Let's just be honest. So the only way we can do that is by keeping this show getting bigger and better, as I say every single week. So go support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/The System Is Down. You'll get bonus episodes of the show every single week and a bunch of other perks in there. So don't just do it for me, do it for you, do it for the whole good of humanity. That's enough for this intro. I've rambled enough. But here's my conversation with the lovely Ashley Bratcher. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get weird. Well, my guest today is actress Ashley Bratcher, who recently played our good friend of the show, Abby Johnson, in the upcoming film Unplanned. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I was just looking around behind you in your room, and I'm pretty excited to be talking to you because we seem to have a shared love for Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
And Darth Vader.
I've got a nice Star Wars sleeve here, but not to derail the conversation before we even start, but since you brought it up, you played a character in 90 Minutes in Heaven with Hayden Christensen. How was that?
Yeah. Okay, so here's a confession. I didn't watch Star Wars before that point. Really? I didn't watch Star Wars until a couple of months ago, and we had this crazy idea to binge watch them all in chronological storyline order.
Yeah.
So in the course of 7 days, I watched every Star Wars movie ever made in order, and now I'm obsessed. So now I totally regret that I didn't really know who he was when I worked with him because I would have been fangirling, which is probably better that I didn't know, but
yeah, just keep it on the DL. But we're actually, as much as everybody knows that I would love to talk Star Wars, I know that you have a limited amount of time, so I want to talk about this film that you're in. Before we get into that, give just a little bit of history on you, and I like to get people's upbringing and kind of get a picture of where you come from.
Well, I'm just a small town girl from North Carolina. Grew up in rural North Carolina, about an hour from the coast. I started acting in drama club in high school. There wasn't really a lot going on in rural North Carolina, if you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I graduated high school, I just thought, well, I got to do the traditional thing and get my degree and whatnot. So I went to school. I studied graphic design. And then my senior year of college, I went to the state fair and there was this booth and it was like, do you want to be an actor? And I was like, yeah, why not?
I do want to be an
And
actor.
so I did this. So I did this really silly audition for a local commercial. I ended up booking it. This agency, like, all of a sudden wanted to take me to New York. Went to New York, got all these offers to work with agents up there. It was kind of crazy, like, how it all came together. But anyway, so that kind of kicked it off. I moved to New York, started working, ended up back in the South. Long story, but here I am.
Nice. So you've been in all these other movies, primarily Christian faith-based films, right?
Yeah, primarily. And that was never really my intent. I honestly just gave my career to God in 2012. And I just thought I was kind of floundering and looking for things in all the wrong places. I was kind of looking for validation and I wasn't getting it the way I wanted. And I was in the industry for the wrong reasons and it was kind of selfishly motivated. And it was in 2012 that I had this epiphany and I was like, wow, you know what? God gave me these gifts and I would just be so foolish not to honor him with them. Like, no matter what that road looks like, just saying, okay, God, take over and let it be. And I'll go where you want me to go. And through that process, I've done a lot of faith-based films, but also secular, for lack of better words,
Yeah.
film and television. I do everything. It just depends on where I feel like God is calling me to go. If I feel called to it, then I'm going to go. If not, then I'm going to be more reserved about it.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll just throw this out there delicately, but what's your opinion of Christian art in general? Because we all know how it goes.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, I could say that in the beginning, like especially 2012, when I was really getting into some faith-based film, I didn't want to be associated with the cheesiness.
Right.
I'm not going to lie, because, you know, Christian films have this horrible reputation of just bad quality film
Right.
where we're just preaching. Like, the message is more important than the story. And I mean, Jesus wasn't like that.
Right.
Jesus talked in parables. Like, he was a great storyteller. So I felt this conviction to really be great at my craft. Like, if I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to do faith-based films or any film for that matter, I want to be really good at my craft. So I spent all my time studying just to be the best actor that I could be, to make sure that when the time and the opportunity presents itself, then I'm just like ready for it. And so I'm really glad that over the course of the last few years, Christian film has gotten a lot better. I think it's getting to a point where it's almost like, okay, is this Christian film, or can we just like join the drama group? Like, can we just be in the same genre as drama, family drama? And I think that especially with Unplanned, I'm really excited about it because, yeah, we're rated R and it's gritty, and yet it's still a story of faith and redemption.
Yeah. Yeah. I read a little bit about the R rating and how they considered, I mean, if Wikipedia is accurate, which who knows, correct me if I'm wrong, but story has it, they thought about pushing back on the R rating to get it to PG-13, but they wanted to make sure that it came out at a certain time. Is there any truth to that?
There was no pushback whatsoever. Like, I think I knew in my heart that it was going to be rated R. I knew, because I worked so intimately in the production and I saw what I saw, and we don't hold back. We're not doing it for the sake of blood and gore. Like, that's not it.
Sure.
We're doing it for the sake of being accurate, for saying this is what is really happening. And I felt, because it was so disturbing and shocking, that it probably would get an R rating. That's the only thing in the film that it could get an R for. There's no sex, there's no nudity, there's no profanity. Like, so the MPA agrees it is a violent and disturbing act. But there was never any pushback. I think we all kind of expected that. Maybe we were hoping, for PG-13. The whole political agenda around that is just the fact that a 15-year-old can go almost anywhere in the United States and get an abortion without parental consent.
Right.
But you can't go see the movie without it. And so that's where the whole political thing lies, and that question, because it has more to do with the law than the MPAA, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. That's a very interesting point. And it's also interesting that, this thing that is generally accepted and pushed as it's totally okay, if you show it in film, then it's violence.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Interesting, huh? Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden it's a violent act. But good, because now people have to talk about it. They have to
Right.
address that fact.
Yeah, when I didn't realize before I talked to Abby that it was going to be an R rating, and I got to say, for me personally, I was filled with joy when I found that out. Because I'm like, you don't flower this up, don't gloss it up. This is an ugly thing, and she has an ugly story, and it needs to be told as such. Like, stop preaching to the choir and put out good art and make it as raw and real as it can be.
There's so much of the Bible that's R-rated.
Oh,
okay?
Absolutely. At the very least.
Those stories, those gritty stories of redemption, they're so compelling. And I'm not saying it to be gratuitous. We don't have to be gratuitous in our art, but we do need to be truthful.
Absolutely.
And the truth is not always this beautiful, pretty, flowery picture.
Song of Solomon would not get an R rating. It would be somewhere outside of that. I'm sorry.
You're right. You're right.
So what was kind of your history with this story? Did you know about Abby Johnson and her story? Had you read the book before you got this part?
No, I had no idea who she was. And to be honest, I blew off the audition when I first got it.
Really?
Because it was like this random Instagram follower who sent me this message with this like weird casting breakdown. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I think that you're meant to play the role. I've been praying for you for a long time. I'm like, oh my gosh, these crazy people. And I was just like, oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. And so then I just blew it off. I was like, this is crazy. So a couple weeks later, she was really persistent. And she said, Ashley, did you read the script and audition? I've really been praying for you. And I just really feel like you need to audition. I was like, yeah, fine. Like, what do I have to lose? I'll just read a couple pages. And they sent me the audition sides. And in those 4 pages, all I knew was that Abby worked at Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that she was going to be pro-life, but she was just really this feisty little fun woman kind of running the show at Planned Parenthood. I was like, oh, she seems cool. I'm going to look her up. And so afterwards I looked her up and holy smokes, man, it wrecked me.
Oh yeah.
I was wrecked, man. As soon as I heard her testimony, I was just ugly crying because I was one of those middle of the road pro-lifers that was like, oh, well, I would never have an abortion, but I could never tell anyone else not to. Right. Like, no, I was just blind is what the truth is. Like, I had no idea what an abortion really was until I heard her describe it. Like, yeah. I never knew. And so I was really spiritually convicted. And from that point on, I just thought, wow, America needs to hear this story. And I was gung-ho about it. I mean, I was telling my husband, my friends, I was like, I just auditioned for this project. Like, I need to tell this story. I told my husband, I'm like, it won't leave me. I feel like this is my story to tell. Just praying like a crazy person now, like the Instagram follower. Thank God for her, by the way. But I just kept praying about it. And when the time came, it was easy to say without hesitation, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. And that's interesting because got Abby's take on it. She was contacted by these people and she's like, oh yeah, some guys who made a film, whatever, leave me alone. Like, so everybody was kind of in the same boat of, said, sure, whatever.
There's mostly guys in their man cave with an iPhone.
Which Christian film, you never know. It might be that. But yeah, I had a similar experience with Abby's story. Before I had her on the first time to talk about her book, I had just briefly heard her story and read her book, and I was kind of in the same space of, yeah, Christian, I'm a Christian, so, abortion, it's bad, but, that's your decision, blah, blah, blah. And then her story is just so moving and compelling and real and raw, and I think that we definitely need more of that in Christian culture. So when I heard that her book was being made into a movie, I was excited and hesitant because is this being made by Christians? If so, how are they going to do it? So when I heard that it was R, I'm like, let's go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the process getting into it? You said that, I don't know if you said it specifically here, but I've listened to a couple interviews that you've given. It was kind of like a spur of the moment thing where you had to jump into it. They didn't give you a whole lot of information, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a 5-hour notice and they said, hey, can you get on the plane to come to Oklahoma to film for 8 weeks? We start shooting on Monday. It was like Wednesday or something when they called me. So yeah, that's not usually how it works. You usually get weeks to prepare and dig into this character. And I was just learning on the fly because I didn't really study Abby after the audition because, I mean, that's a lot of work and time to put into something that you don't know that you've really got.
Right.
So as soon as I got the phone call, I was like, okay, I need Abby's phone number. I downloaded her audiobooks. I'm listening to Audible. I'm watching videos on YouTube. I'm like researching the pro-life movement. I'm like looking at abortion videos from doctors. I mean, I was doing everything I possibly could in the short amount of time that I had. So on top of that, I got to learn my lines, and it's like 100 and some pages, and I'm in 95% of the movie. So I really just took it day by day. So I would gather the scenes that I was going to shoot for that day and look at them in context and just focus on those. And so that every moment in between I was researching. There was zero time off during that entire 8 weeks I was in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. What was their reasoning for being that rushed in the process?
Well, the directors and producers, they had really been prompted by the Holy Spirit to pray over who was going to have this role. They had been through a couple of people who had said no, apparently. And I actually talked to one of the girls who said no, who was super encouraging to me, which was a really beautiful testimony to her character. Mm-hmm. But they wanted the person to have little time to decide because they didn't want an outside influence to affect their decision. And I just happened to show up at the last minute. Like, I don't know, luck of the draw. I was like right there at the bottom of the pile, and they had seen my audition, kind of like blown over it a couple times. And then for some reason they were like, "Are you sure, God?" And then they called me up and we started talking, and then it just all came together. But they just knew that God was kind of hiding this person and waiting for it to come together at the last minute. And they had to be really faithful to believe that, because that is really scary in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Did you have any concerns going into this? I mean, we hear of like Jim Caviezel and people like that, where they take on these kind of controversial roles and their career kind of steps down a few pegs. And he was started at a pretty high level before that. Did you have any concerns about that damaging your career in the future?
No, I mean, I was warned a lot, and I think that people still have that concern, but I don't know. I don't have any fear, and I think a big part of it is that I live by my faith, so I find my worth in Jesus Christ. So I don't really have this kind of like insecurity about where I stand as far as my career, like what determines my success or my value. I don't have any of that, and I don't live in fear. So it makes it really easy for me to sit here and be like, I don't care. Honestly. I mean, that's the truth. I'm just like, it is what it is. But also, like I mentioned, I'm dedicated to my craft. I've been working really hard. I've studied Meisner technique. I had, 4 days off last month, and I spent those 4 days off at an acting studio in class. Mm-hmm. So I'm committed to my craft. And if the industry can't respect me as an artist to see that this is a great story, it's female driven, it's a dynamic character, it's challenging emotionally, physically. I mean, if the industry can't see it for what it is artistically, then that's on them. That says more about them than me and my decision to play the role. Like, get out of here. That's more of a political agenda for them than me. So I'm not worried about it. I feel like it's a great role regardless, and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I feel like if it gets the buzz that it deserves, I mean, I haven't seen it, but if it gets the buzz that the story deserves, it's going to be a bit of a conundrum for Hollywood, who's going on and on about, we need strong female leads. It's like, what if you get a strong female lead and they're also against abortion? What do you do with that?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Hey guys, this is Dan's wife, Kayla. I just wanted to interrupt this podcast to let you know that he puts a lot of work into it for currently no monetary profit, and he has a family to feed. To do so, he runs his own media business called Goulash Media. Dan has a crazy creative brain that makes him uniquely able to take your project, whatever it may be, and make it the full package. So whether you're in need of graphic design, logos, branding, commercials, wedding videos, podcast jingles, music production, music videos, merchandise, websites, pictures, or what have you, contact Dan and he'll seriously make you look and sound awesome. For more information, just go to goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where Dan caters to the little guy with the big vision.
So have you personally received any pushback or anything? Like, at this point, has it gotten out there enough that people are attacking you at all?
People are definitely finding me. And pro-choicers and the nasty girls, they found me too, but they're not nasty to me. It's funny. Like, they're actually really cool. Like, I've had really great discussions with pro-choicers who are just like, they just like hate Trump. I mean, some of them just
Sure.
really like they're angry, hate Trump. But I mean, they're nice to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the conservative, like, pro-lifer that you think that they would just like hate.
Right.
But we have really cool conversations. Like I've had some pro-choicers reach out to me and say, strangers now, say, I don't know you, but I just saw your story and it's really powerful and I respect you even though I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. And then I had another girl reach out and say, I heard your story and I'm really glad that your mom chose to have you.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. I think it may have like had 3 people on the entire internet send me stupid comments like, "Oh, I wish you were aborted." Like, that's original.
Yeah, but you could get that even like just from my show. I get that all the time, and that has nothing to do with abortion. So that's just YouTube commenters.
I know. Yeah, for the most part, I mean, people are they're pretty nice. I mean, I'm just really transparent and authentic, and I'm just like, it is what it is. You're a person, I'm a person. Let's talk.
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. So let's get into a little bit of your story. You touched on it, and actually, Abby spoiled it a little bit, but I'm going to make sure that your interview comes out before her, so you get to tell the story first. So go ahead and I've heard it, but let people know like what your experience is on this topic.
Yeah, kind of mind blowing. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to get out to Oklahoma. They gave me 5-hour notice, not kidding. Like I had to leave before my husband got home from work. And I got to Oklahoma and hit the ground running. I mean, I have like 52 wardrobe changes, which means I have to go try on all these different clothes. They're coloring my hair to make it red. Like I'm meeting with a makeup artist. There's all these consultations. There's all these pre-production meetings. There's zero time to do anything. Mm-hmm. So my husband, my sister, my son, they were the only people who knew that I had left. And on the 4th day that I was on set, my mom called me and I needed to tell her where I was and what I was doing. But I was really hesitant in how I was going to explain it to her because she had shared with me that she had had an abortion when she was younger. And I didn't want her to feel like this movie was judgmental or condemning or that I loved her any less or thought anything less of her. But I was really proud of Abby's testimony. So I wanted to share it with her. And as I did, I knew she'd become emotional. But I had no idea. I could have never, ever like planned what was going to happen next. She's just sobbing through the phone. And she says, Ashley, I need to tell you something that I never told you before. What you don't know is that when I was 19, I was at the abortion clinic for the 2nd time. And I had just been called back. I was on the table being examined by a very pregnant nurse. And I got really sick and I knew that I couldn't go through with it. And I got up and I walked out and I chose to have you. And I had no words. I was streaming tears in the middle of this salon, getting my hair colored like a crazy person. And like God's really funny in his timing. Mm-hmm. And I just said, wow, Mom, I need to call you back because I couldn't even process this whole, like fathom the idea that I'm sitting here in Oklahoma to play Abby Johnson. I never had an opinion on abortion before, never knew that I was almost aborted. Mm-hmm. And now here I am coming full circle to tell her story. I mean, the odds of that happening, if you're not a believer, are pretty little. So because I am a believer, it just was further confirmation to me that God had planned my steps from conception to just bring this story full circle. I mean, it's insane. It blows my mind. And I'm not mad at my mom at all. I'm really glad that she told me because she gave me the confidence, more confidence in telling Abby's story. Right. To know that like, oh, okay, I am here to do this. Like I find power in being able to say, wow, God gave me this platform. I'm just this nobody from North Carolina and he's allowing me to do it.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. Abby didn't know, the directors didn't know, you didn't even know that this was, your history. And plop down, here you go. Now act it.
So, yeah, exactly. And so then after that, I mean, I didn't even really have time to think about it because I was so wrapped up in researching and preparing for the role that it wasn't until maybe a couple of weeks after we got done filming that I was looking at my sister and I think I said, is this normal? Like, do you think this is normal? And she's like, no, it's not normal, actually.
This isn't real life. This is a simulation, obviously, because things just don't align like this now. No, it's crazy. It's really cool. It's such a powerful story. So what was kind of the process following that in all the filming and everything? This is your first starring role, right? In a film?
Well, I've done some smaller independent films that I've starred in.
Sure.
So I've carried a feature-length film as a lead before, but this one, it was just different in so many different ways. Because literally, I'm not kidding you, I'm like in 98% of the movie. Like, you're gonna get sick of looking at my face. And so the process afterwards was literally eat, read, script, research, sleep, repeat. Like, that was literally all I did for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And even now, I've learned so much in the process, and I'm really one of those curious people that I like to know things. So if I don't know the answer to something, I'm going to look it up. And because of that, I've inadvertently become an activist. Thanks a lot, Abby Johnson.
She has that effect on people.
She does. She's an activator. She makes you go.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, but I have a platform now. And as an artist, I think that more actors need to take accountability for the work they put out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you are willing to take this role and stand for it, like, more than just saying, oh, it's a cool role, and being, self-indulgent, like, why are you telling the story? Why does it matter?
Right.
And that's what I found here, is that I have this social responsibility to tell people why it matters.
Mm-hmm. So what have you been doing since then? Like, you said that she inspired you to activism, that type of thing. Is it just like in these interviews and press conferences and stuff like that, or are you doing other things?
Well, I found myself on the Senate floor in Georgia a couple weeks ago, speaking with the governor and lieutenant governor, and then I got introduced in the House of Representatives, and I'm like, when on earth would I have ever thought that I would be standing with a bunch of politicians talking about abortion? Like, what?
What is my life? I didn't care about this topic 6 months ago or whatever.
No, it's weird. It's really weird. But, with it being such a hot topic right now and all these radical abortion laws that are being passed, it's like people are panicking because they're scared Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned.
Right.
And there's this radical, extreme shift that's happening. And people are outraged on both sides of the fence. And it's time to speak out. If you have the knowledge, you have a responsibility to say something about it.
Yeah.
And the way that we change things is by talking to politicians, legislators, saying, okay, here's how this law affects people. Talking to pregnancy centers, because pregnancy centers are the ones on the front lines combating what Planned Parenthood puts out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of my time talking to people at pregnancy centers and building awareness on the topic more than anything. I never, ever, they did not tell me all this was going to happen when I signed up for the movie. Okay.
Right. It's not normal. It's not normal. I feel like the film should be titled officially Unplanned, with the subtitle, "This isn't about Trump. Let Trump go." This is not a political statement. This is about life. And we're talking about a topic here. So what in a day and age where that's all that people look at, like they hear, abortion, it's like, oh, they're enslaving women because Trump, blah, 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 garbage. What do you say to those people? Like, what, as a woman yourself, I'm not allowed to speak on this topic, but as...
Yeah, I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Right. As a woman, what do you say on this? Like, what actually matters in this topic?
What matters is that we love them both, okay? The reason that women have abortions is because they feel weak, not because they're empowered. Nobody goes into an abortion clinic saying, I'm going to have an abortion because I'm a strong, powerful, successful woman. Like, no, they go because they feel like they cannot have a child, that they can't have their successful career if they have a child, that they're not going to have enough money. They're not going to have a great relationship. And it's all not true. That is just a fabrication. And if you really want to empower women, then stand beside them and support them and say, I got your back. If you need help and you need resources, I've got them for you. This is how we can support you. This is how we can support your baby. Okay. Maybe you don't feel adequate to be a parent. guess what? There's 100 people lined up down the street that would love to raise your child and give them the life that you want them to have, the best life that you can imagine for them. And we need more people standing up beside women and not shaming them. I think that abortion shames women because they think they don't have another choice. And that is not true.
Mm-hmm.
True feminists stand up for women from the moment of conception. We care for them both. And that is what the real feminist movement was rooted in. It was for women who cared about supporting other women.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen. Preach. So moving forward, what does your life look like after this? After all the dust has settled, are you focused solely on your next role in the next film, or are you now Ashley the activist for pro-life movement? Has Abby sucked you completely out of your whole plan for your future?
No. I think that God's called me to the film industry and he's going to honor that.
Sure.
But what's really on my heart right now is just wait and see, because I feel like something incredible is coming and I just want to be present for it. I don't want to get my mind too far in the future thinking about all these things that could be. Mm-hmm. I just want to really savor what's happening right now and be proud to be a part of it. I have other offers on the table that I'm not really entertained because I don't want it to be a distraction. Yeah. I really want to just be part of this right now and see what happens.
I love it. I love that there's people in the Christian entertainment industry, if you will, the entertainment industry that also consists of Christians who are real and authentic and presenting the rawness of humanity. I think it's awesome. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell everybody about the movie, where they can see it, when it comes out. It's March 29th, I believe, and all the stuff, all the places that they can find the information.
Cool. So the first place to find out where it's playing is to go to unplanned.com. I think they just released the first list of theaters where it's going to be. We have distribution for a wide release in 800 theaters across the U.S. for opening weekend. The reason we kept that just a little bit smaller than going to, like, say, 1,500 is because opening weekend is critical. So we want to have a really high per screen average. And then when you have 800 screens, if we fill them with like 750 or more, then we look really good because people are going and seeing the movie. And then what that does is it allows us to expand it even further, because movie theaters see people are paying to see the movie. They want to keep it in because, let's be real, they care about money selling popcorn and soda. Right. So you see the movie, they're like, oh, this is a good thing. Let's keep it open. And that's how we expand it. And it is a great movie. I mean, I think take all your friends. Like it's a great movie that you can just share a cool experience with someone, that you can walk out and actually have a conversation. It's not just some dumb movie you go watch and you go home and you like go to sleep. No, it's going to make you think. Mm-hmm. So if you want to like have a cool conversation with your friend, go see it. So unplanned.com, you can see the list of all of that. And March 29th, pack the theaters. You can find me on social media. Let me know what you think. I'm open to critics too, but you can't be a critic unless you see it. That's
right. Absolutely. Well, Ashley, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I love everything that you're doing, everything that you have to say. I think it's very, very cool and awesome. I think I strongly encourage people to go see the movie. I'll have to have you back on soon to talk about Star Wars or something else. But
yeah, please do. We're putting that one out there, okay, God? Like, I want to be a Jedi or a Sith. Either one, like, let's make it happen.
Let's start the campaign to get Ashley as a role in one of the new Star Wars movies that comes out. How about that? Well, Ashley, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing the movie. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hey, guys. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Ashley Bratcher as much as I did, and I really, 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 really did. You never know who you're going to be talking to. She's an actor. Maybe she's going to put on some bullshit facade or something. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know. Her job is to play characters, but she was extremely transparent, open, and honest about things. She expressed the same concerns as I did. It's a faith-based, quote-unquote, film. It could have sucked. I don't think it did. I think it was great. Like I said, it had its ups and downs, but the story is tremendous. Her acting is impeccable, I must say. I had never seen her act in anything. I'd never seen any of her work before this film, and good Lord, she's a good actor. There are, to be completely honest, there are some actors in the film that aren't as great, but that's life. And Ashley's an amazing actor, and she is 98% of the film, like she said. So I would definitely highly recommend checking it out and digging into this story more. And we'll talk about it more because, as you know, next week I'm having the episode of the returning guest, Abby Johnson, who the film and the book was. Well, the book is her book, and the film was based off of her book. So the film is based off of her story. The whole thing is Abby's story. It's her story to tell. Ashley had the pleasure of being the one to exemplify her, and now we will get Abby Johnson's take on the whole thing, the whole process, what she thought of the film. And you guys know Abby. Like I said, she was on episode 64. She's an awesome person. She's super down to earth. She's very open and raw and very, very well fitting for our show here, because if she didn't like it, she would have said, I don't like it. And that's what I love about her. She's just an awesome person. So definitely go check out the film when it comes out end of next week, and keep an eye out. Keep an eye on everything that's going on with this topic, with not just the film, not just, Abby, but the things that are going on in the world with abortion, because they're getting real weird lately. They're getting real weird, because there was a time when we said safe, legal, and rare, which doesn't necessarily make sense. If you think that it's just a clump of cells, why should we make it rare? Why shouldn't it be, let's abort all of them? Whatever. Why should it be rare? Of course, it should be safe and legal if you're going to do it, but why rare? There's some things here that we don't talk about. There's some things here that we kind of just brush away. And there's some weird things that are going on where people are looking to it, literally pushing for post-birth abortions. Baby comes out of the mother. The baby is viable because they resuscitate it. If it's not conscious, they resuscitate it, and then they sit down and have they want to sit down and have a conversation. Not that this is happening now necessarily. It probably is somewhere, but all this stuff going on in politics where they're talking about the possibilities of we would sit the mother down and have a conversation with her about what she wanted to do next. And then we would decide whether or not to keep the baby. The baby. It's a human. It's out. It's viable. It's there. This is where we are. This is 2019. We're supposed to be smarter than this. Let's get real, people. This is not a matter of healthcare. I love the women. I feel real bad for every woman that has to go through the pain of an unplanned pregnancy or complications in a pregnancy, of course. But we're talking about human life here. And you look into the statistics, it becomes more and more horrifying as days go on. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I honestly think that we're going to look back on this topic and be like, what the fuck were we doing? Who did we throw away? Who did we throw away? What person that could have been did we rip apart for the sake of convenience, to the sacrificed on the God altar of convenience? It makes me mad. And not mad at the women, because tiny bit of a spoiler, not really a spoiler, but in the film they very, very even-handedly portray the people involved in this. I feel, for the most part, the people involved in Planned Parenthood, they're not monsters. The people that are going to get an abortion, they're not monsters. The people who are Christians are sometimes they are monsters. Sometimes they attack women, and that's not okay any more than, well, I guess it's more okay than abortion, but it's not okay. It's not okay to treat humans like garbage in any way whatsoever. I am pro-life, whether that life is inside the womb or outside the womb. I am pro-life. I am pro-woman, pro-woman's health care. Let's do what we can to make everybody healthy. But that's not what we're talking about anymore. Let's just be honest about it. Okay, that's enough preaching for today, I suppose. Sorry, it's just on my mind. It's on my mind a lot after watching the film and after talking to both of these lovely women. It's on my mind, and it's tough to even think about. What if I wasn't here? The odds of me, the odds of Dan Smots being born in 2019 are, if that was supposed to be the case, they're growing exceedingly slim because it's becoming more and more popular, more and more acceptable. It shouldn't be. We should be having real conversations about it. We're talking about life. All right. I think my stuff is frozen. Did my stuff freeze? Are we still recording? Are we still recording? This is how raw we are around here and how transparent. It's fine. I'm not going to edit it out. It's whatever. But that's a great subtle way to transition into all the plugs and junk that I do here at the end. Please go support the show. Please go support us on Patreon. Join the Downers Club. You can get shirts, merchandise, a bunch of stuff for free. You can get weekly bonus episodes of the show. All sorts of fun stuff. It only costs a cup of coffee, $5 a month, to get all the bonus episodes of the show now and in the past and going on into the future. Let's build this thing together and keep spreading the message of uncomfortable conversations. So go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. So all the other things, iTunes, please subscribe, leave reviews, go to Stitcher, we're on all the platforms. Look us up wherever you platform. Gab, Minds, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things that millennials do. Please share the show. It's free to do. It's free to tell people about it. It's free to help get the word out. It's free to show people in the world that you can have civil dialogue about things that make you go, ugh. That's really what we're here to do. We're here to take away the factor and make it just commonplace to be real and raw and honest with each other and loving and humble at the same time. So please do that. Share it around. Share it around. Share it around. Also, I almost forgot. I'm working on a documentary. It has nothing to do with abortion. I guarantee it. But it does have to do with humility. It has a lot to do with humility and being open-minded and helping people in the future think open-mindedly. It has a lot to do with this message that I'm trying to get out there that is treat humans like humans, and even the ones that aren't born yet. The documentary is actually nothing to do with abortion. It's about the moon landing and the moon landing hoax theories. I know that is off-putting to some people who probably came here to look at a political agenda and see abortion as a political agenda rather than a matter of human life. It might be off-putting to all of you quote-unquote intellectuals out there who cannot be bothered by these crazy thoughts of discomfort. The documentary is about the moon landing, and it's about the moon landing theories and why certain people still think that the moon landing was fake. It's going to be openly exploring both sides, and it is going to be exploring why we think here in 2019 it's okay to treat other people like trash. That's all I'll say for now. If you want to know more about it, you can go to the website moonmythlegend.com. The film is called The Moon, the Myth, the Legend. So you can go to themoonthemyththelegend.com, or you can save your fingers a little bit of typing time and just type in moonmythlegend.com. You can find the trailer there, all the artwork, the promo stuff, all that stuff. You can go support it at Indiegogo. Pre-order is really all that matters. Basically, you can pre-order your copy. That's it. All right, so I'm making a documentary. Go check it out. And please tune in next week as I talk to... not Ashley. We talked to Ashley today. Abby Johnson. The person that this is all about. Our good friend of the show. She's coming back. She's going to be a little ball of fire like she always is, and just a joy to talk to. And she's going to be sharing with us what the process was to get her book, her story, made into a movie, which Ashley played her in. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's weird. It's a great conversation. So tune in next week for some more uncomfortable conversations. And I'll be here. Will you be here? I promise it will be worth your time. So subscribe to the show and do all the things that millennials do. And I'm going to stop plugging and wrap this up and say, if you'll have me, of course, I'll be here first thing next Monday morning with some more uncomfortable conversations for you. Until then, please continue to question everything and stay uncomfortable. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.